Hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. This is Michael, KE4EST. And I want to just do a quick channel update and tell you what's going on. Let you know that I didn't fall off the face of the earth. I'm still here. And, you know, Happy New Year to everybody, even though it's February now. And I hope everybody's doing great so far this year. And I want to say welcome to all the new subscribers. I've got quite a few subscribers since last video in December before Christmas, so welcome to all new subscribers. So where's the next video? What's took so long? Well, when I started doing this and got a little bit serious about it, I promised myself that I would not get to the point where I would have something like this. You know, I mean, they might be a month in between or something. Things happen, you know. But I wouldn't leave a video like the last video was that RCA VTVM part 1. And if people's following along, especially if you're building one or not building one, but restoring one, you're like, well, wait a minute, where's the rest of it? I want to, you know, I'm kind of on hold here. I want to see what's going on. So I promised myself I wouldn't do that. You know, if I'm going to have something that's 2 parts or 3 parts or whatever, have all those parts done up, ready to go, rendered out, done up, upload to YouTube, because I don't know, maybe if you're not done a lot of, if you're just a YouTube watcher and not get into any uploading anything to YouTube, you can go in and set up, you know, scheduled out, like say you want it to, you know, come out a certain date or something, and you can upload it as private, you know, until then, and look at it, go over it, watch it yourself. You know, sometimes I'll watch the video, I'll go through and edit everything out, edit everything up, you know, get it all done, have it set and ready to go, and then I'll watch it and make sure I didn't miss any little thing. I'm like, okay, it looks pretty good. Upload it to YouTube, wait a couple days, let yourself sleep, you know, a couple days, go back and watch the video and go, oh. Then I can go back in, edit a couple things, and then re-upload, and nobody ever know any difference. And then you can set up, you know, say it's 2 or 3 parts. You can set up part 1 on one day, and then the next week part 2. Have it all scheduled and ready to go, so that it's, you know, set and ready to go and all that. So I promised myself I wouldn't do that, and here I got and let myself do that, because what happened was, you know, I'm getting ready. Everything's all pretty much ready up to film part 2, and go through the alignment of it and all that on that VTVM. And then I went to do it one evening, and then something came up or something the next evening. Next thing you know, school was out, and my wife was, where she works, she also gets off a couple of weeks for Christmas. So school's out and the kids are here, the wife's here, so spend time with the family, which, you know, nothing wrong with that. I'm sure everybody agree, hey, stop, spend time with the family. So, okay, let's do that. And of course I'm not mad about it or anything, but I'm like, oh man, I didn't get part 2 done, but okay. And then it goes through the Christmas holiday and New Year's, and it's always like a week or something after New Year's before, at least here, before school goes back. Then they come up with some, there was some snow days or something, so they didn't go back right away. And then we got this, you know, pandemic we're going through, and they're like, okay, we're going to do a little bit more, I don't know what they called it, but gap it out just a little bit more. I'm like, oh, come on, really? You know, do the remote learning at home. So today, February the 1st, if I get the video out today, but it's February the 1st, they everything's going back to normal in school, and of course the wife's been back to work, you know, the 1st January. But anyway, so that's what's been going on, and that's why not another video. I'm going to get that working on that, get that finished up and get it done, so I can get the part 2 out. And I just wanted to show you too, you know, yeah, I'm spending time with the family. All this time's went by, but I like to sit and piddle with this stuff all the time. You know, it's the fun of it. And so what I've been working on during this break or whatever is, let me bring this around here. Well, I don't have it set up right now. I did have it set up. Maybe I can sneak it in there if I'm careful. But I'm working on you can see that, yep, a homebrew benchtop DMM, digital multimeter. Right now it just does voltage, but it does. And this is a thought I've had for, I don't know, a few years off and on. I've been messing with like the Arduino boards and bumped the camera there. Been messing with the Arduino boards and PIC controllers, microcontrollers, and all kinds of different ones for a long time. And I've always thought about, man, I think I could probably make my own, benchtop voltmeter. Be close enough. It may not be, factory, out to 8 digits and whatever, and cost $10,000, but I want it good enough to, hobbyist, but not just crappy. I want it to be pretty decent. So I went through with Arduino and PIC controllers and different ones. They got, for you guys that's familiar, they got the analog input pins. So hey, you just got to build up a circuit that, say if it's an Arduino Uno or something, it's 5 volts, and a lot of the microcontrollers are 3.3 volts, but you can't go over 3.3 volts or 5 volts. Your input's got to go through a voltage divider, to go up to a certain point. You can't go over 5 volts, like I said. And so you figure it out so that, say I've got it set for 100 volts. I can take 100 volts up to 100 volts input. Well, 50 volts in is going to be about 2.5 volts if it's a 5 volt microcontroller. And 100 volts would be 5 volts, and 0 would be 0, of course. So you see what I'm getting at there. So that, it'd take the input, without burning up the microcontroller, but you can still measure voltage with it and do a little math in there and off the analog pin and figure out what it is. Because, so, say if it's an Arduino Uno, it's 0 to 1023, right? It's just got, a 10-bit ADC in it. So if I've got it set, say 50 volts, and so I got a voltage divider set up though, so I can take up 50 volts on my circuit, but it's only going to say put 2.5 volts on that pin. So the microcontroller is going to see about 512, 511, something like that. So you just take and convert that all up and get a voltage out of it. Well, without getting rattling on here and boring you, I've tried that and tried that and tried that and different ones, and they just can't. They're close, but never do get them close enough. I mean, it would work, and it'd give you a relative indication to where it'd be, if you had something you just want to throw in a toolbox or something to go and double check the voltage on your car battery. Yep, about 11.8 volts or something. Start the car up. Yeah, it's up to 13 point something volts. Okay, alternator's working, voltage regulator's working. Put it on an AC, stick it in the wall. That's about 120 volts. You don't care, anything about the hundreds or tenths digits. Yep, it's pretty good. I've got power to this outlet, so why ain't this working? Whatever. But to set it, even on a hobbyist bench, I want at least get, a hundredths, of a volt. Pretty accurate, you know what I mean? So it never did work out, so I decided to test a little bit on the breakout board. Put a breadboard, test a couple of different ones, go through some stuff, and some of them I got pretty detailed in, really trying all kinds of ways to program it, trying different circuits, and I just never got it where, it just never was. It'd be accurate on the bottom end, but it wouldn't be accurate up here. Okay, so, I'll make different ranges, obviously, and still, I just never could get it towards my liking. Then I was digging around in a junk box. Well, I thought it was layered. There it is. I come across this. This is an INA 219. I think it's Adafruit. It's really made for a current sensing board to measure current, but it'll measure voltage. And of course, you can put those two together and you can get power, measure wattage. And so I thought, well, that's interesting. It's got like a chip already on it that does all that for you. So let me just see. It was pretty close, but still wasn't real close. I mean, it was the best that I'd ever got one to work, and I thought, why didn't I think of this before? So I got to looking, and they make an INA 260, and that's what I've got right here hooked up right now. It's also Adafruit. They make a better chip. I'm not sure who makes it, but Adafruit's got a board that's already on it, so I ordered it up, stuck it in there, and it's spot on. I mean, up to like, hundredths of a volt, sometimes, some thousandths of a volt, 3 digits here. So I'm like, okay, I'll go with that. So that's what I've been working on. Putting it in the case, making still ain't like the colors like I want on display, but I made a little booger there. But this was my first messing around with it. I'm eventually going to go with a 7-inch display. And right now, like I said, it just does the voltage, but it's real easy to add current because it's already on this board here. Measure current, so I can measure voltage, measure current, and then worry about a circuit for measuring resistance or whatever, and have a full-blown DMM, benchtop. And why do it? Just because you can, because it's fun, because that's the part of it. I mean, you can go out and buy them. If you make one that's pretty accurate and you got another meter that's pretty close, and nowadays a lot of these cheap meters, you don't have to get something this expensive here. You can get a lot of these cheaper meters, and they're pretty accurate. I've compared them, with some expensive meters, and especially for a hobbyist, they're pretty close to the hundredths of a volt. So you just use that as a test to put beside until you get this where you want it, and then move on. So that's what I'm doing. I may make a video on this and what I did and how I done it and all that stuff. I'm even working on a board here I etched. This is where I'm using a Teensy 4.0 microcontroller. You can actually probably see the card later here in the background. So that's what I'm using here is a Teensy 4.0. You don't need a board, that fast. But I am going with the board that fast because they're relatively cheap. Great support, they work good, and driving TFT display fast so that when the change digits don't look like it's, change. If you've ever messed with TFT display and, something like Arduino Uno or something, or Mega with run at 16 megahertz, you know what I mean when you change, even like if you make a clock up or something. Just making up a project and you make a clock. And you go through and change digits. Or you watch it change digits and it just click. Almost like, it disappears and you can watch it draw itself. This here is pretty quick. I thought maybe, and just touch it here. Get it to pick up some residual. So I've got making up a circuit board here that mount that in a case. Come out, it's going to have touch screen. And I see a SPI bus here to drive the display, and then the I2C for the touch. Let's see, this is an I2C here. You can see a little Teensy back there in the background. I'll get my hand out of the way. And I even got the data sheet laying there, but yep. So that's what I've been kind of working on as I have time off and on, whatever. Because, I can be piddling with this and programming on it when kids are running around and whatever. Sometimes it's hard to concentrate, but you know what I mean. I'm not shooting a video, so it's no big deal if I need to stop and run do something, come back, whatever. But anyway, so that's what's been going on. I'm still here, and I'm going to get that RCA VTVM part 2 video up and done, get that out here in a few days, and move on to some other stuff. I've got all kinds of stuff on the shelf in there I need to pull down, restore, and maybe I'll go and show you how I done this, and do some more microcontroller stuff, because mix it up a little bit. I got plenty of ideas and all kinds of stuff. Just not enough time in the world to do everything I want to do. But anyway, and until the next video, this is Michael, KE4EST 73.